Man has been and will always be simultaneously fascinated and terrified of the unknown. Change is the necessary ingredient for all advancement, and yet it is something that very few can accept without a fight. In the quest to understand outer space, the Greek mathematician Pythagoras was the first to propose that the world was a sphere rotating on its own axis, an idea that seemed absurd to a 6th century BC society that believed in a flat, stationary world. They outcast Pythagoras and insisted that an invisible man in a chariot with flying horses dragged the sun across the sky each day. Supported by the newly formed Roman Catholic Church, this Earth-centered universe model remained generally accepted for 15 centuries. In that time, many scientists theorized that the model was incorrect, but few dared to share their findings, and those who did were outcast. The last of these rebels was Galileo, the first astronomer to use a telescope and the last to be persecuted by the Church for suggesting that the Earth traveled around the sun. He was summoned to answer on charges of heresy. At his trial before the Church, Galileo was forced to curse, abjure, and detest his theory that the Earth moved around the sun. Had he not done this, he would have been burned alive at the stake. Although Galileo complied, he was ordered to spend the rest of his life under house arrest and was allowed no visitors or outside contact. Immediately after being sentenced, a stunned Galileo calmly declared, "And yet the Earth moves."
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now.
Today, all of our infrastructure is run by computers. Computers are playing a central role in electricity, oil distribution, water treatment, finances, everything. If you roll back a few years in times, you didn't have computer attacks doing things like causing air traffic delays, shutting down ATM systems, shutting down 911 emergency systems. So on. That wasn't happening so much. Now we get that, that can happen.
When I first started working with computer security, I think like a lot of security practitioners, I had this mental image that these guys at the CIA and the NSA and the FBI, they were like the computer systems in Mission Impossible, where they had these incredibly secure systems and they actually knew what they were doing. And within a couple of years, I realized I was teaching them. Imagine a bar graph, and government computer security is here, and corporate computer security is here, and my home network is up about there.
Cyber terror is a kind of warfare on the virtual frontier. Sometimes, though, it can leap outside of the virtual realm into the physical world, such as when, for example, automated controls on power systems are attacked, and then they cause power outages, or they cause dams to burst, or pipelines to cease their flows. And this is the realm of the cyber terrorist.
I think as computers continue to underpin our society and become really part of what we are now seeing, I think, is a digital nervous system that underpins our entire economy, we all have to be cognizant of the threat of computer crime and computer criminals. A hacker isn't necessarily, in the popular vernacular, a bad thing. A hacker is somebody who explores in a quest for knowledge, wants to look at a system and see how it works.
The life around me greatly changed. For one, my analytical skills skyrocketed once I started programming. It's more actually a burden analyzing things crazily. And just walking down the street, I wonder how these buses work, or how this door is opening, and how this automatic door is opening. I just think about it. I think about the inner workings of it.
All hacking is expanding the boundaries, is exploring. And instead of exploring the globe or exploring space, you're exploring the inner space of telecommunications networks, of the personal computer, and trying to find out what more you can do.
A cracker is somebody who takes those skills and uses them for ill, uses them for bad things.
Most hackers are of benign intent. They're just curious. And those hackers who are destructive or criminal, they should be punished.
The FBI doesn't track the average, white hat hacker, if you will. We don't have the resources or the interest in doing that. We're specifically interested in individuals that are breaking federal law.
Hacking, to me, is expressing the human drive to know more, to go farther, to experiment. And that, to me, is fundamental. I think the Wild West is the best analogy for this. I mean, you're in an area where the laws never really considered any of this stuff, and where new things are happening, exciting things are happening, and we don't know what's right and wrong exactly. It's a little fuzzy.
A white hat hacker is someone who might, say, explore their own company network to determine how it's vulnerable and how to protect against it. Black hat hackers or crackers are those that use that knowledge and use that ability to commit crimes, and those are the people that we're interested in.
Between the white hat good guys and the black hat bad guys is a very interesting character known as the Gray Hat, an ethical vigilante of the Cyber West. Although he's not paid for his services, like some white hats, the curious Gray Hat takes it upon himself to hack into computers and find security holes. He then informs the owners of these vulnerable computers about the problems to help them prevent any villainous black hats from later exploiting the holes for unethical or criminal purposes.
They're individualists of the first degree. That's what they are. They're the cowboys. They're out there on the edge of the Wild West, of the outlaw world, going out and trying new stuff, and seeing where the borders are, seeing where the edges lie, seeing where there be monsters. Well, what monsters are out there? And we need those people. And you got your Wyatt Earps who are going out there and trying to shut these guys down. It's very hard to make the distinction in legal and legal when you're talking hacking, because intent is very much part of our criminal justice system. It's very hard to know what somebody's intent was.
I understand the government's point of view. I understand that they feel they need to send a message that crime can't be tolerated no matter how well-intentioned it is. And I think that in some ways they're unable to look beyond that message. I don't think that they necessarily see the social impact of what they do.
And I think that you can't use old models and rules and apply them to these new situations. They don't apply very well.
As convoluted as its modern-day usage, the dictionary definition of the word hack is either the act of cutting through something with quick, unskilled blows, or the ability to find a way to manage a given challenge, such as, can you hack it or not? How this word transformed into what we know today as the hacker was not through the computer, but through the model train. In 1946, the Tech Model Railroad Club was formed at MIT. Comprised of engineering students and model train enthusiasts of all ages, the purpose of the club was to challenge and modify the functional design of model trains in order to hack a better train. They defined a hacker as one who applies ingenuity to create a clever result called a hack. Still in existence today, the Tech Model Railroad Club remains proud that it originated the word hacker and disapproves using the term to represent illegal acts of computer crimes. As the term hacker moved from the world of model trains to modern computers, one of its key evolutionary phases was the telephone.
Now, in 1969, nobody had a computer at home. Phone phreaking was at that time hacking the phone system. There were no computers to hack, there was only the phone system. I've always been working in electronics, experimenting around with things, trying different things, finding out why things did work and why they work so well and why others don't work so well. And I did mostly through experimentation, just by trial and error. I had not actually been the discoverer of the Captain Crunch whistle. The Captain Crunch whistle was discovered by the blind kids. And it was just by chance they happened to play around with the whistle, and they experimented around with pressing different holes to get the different pitch. Like they try this one, that's not 2600, with a perfect pitch. Now that's 2600. The 2600 tone is used to activate and hang up the long distance trunk. I read a newspaper article that it was now possible from certain cities to dial overseas directly without going through an operator. I said, gee, how is that possible? So through a little social engineering.
Social engineering is an attack where basically what you're doing is you're fooling someone into giving you access to some place that you don't have any business being. And this is a technique that a lot of people have used, not just hackers. For example, sales guys will use social engineering.
For selling is working with people. It's helping them make decisions, good decisions, helping them buy.
So through a little social engineering, I was able to get an operator to tell me, oh, you dial key pulse 182 start, and that will get you to the overseas sender. From there, you just do key pulse 044 and the country code and the city code and the number start, and you get connected. Oh, wow. So I took down and mapped out the entire country code of the world. Not only can I call countries, but I can experiment around with these codes. I can find out where these codes go to. And I discovered a lot of codes that were not published. The codes that would get into satellite systems and phone systems, ship-to-shore phone systems. They have their own country code. The thrill of it was just understanding how the phone system worked.
Hackers have thus been involved with each new technological development leading to the computer for centuries, enjoying the intellectual challenges of creatively overcoming the limitations of each age. Contrary to popular belief, when hackers finally did meet modern-day computers, they did not intrude upon them, they invented them.
To those of us who are real hardcore in the computer industry, the word hacking was applied to people who hacked away all night long. People usually that didn't have computers of their own, they didn't have any money, but they were at a university, and they found out that if they stayed up all night long, there were some computers unused. And they called it hacking because they hacked away. They took a program, hacked it up, and tried to make it a little better and a little better. Way back at the end of high school, I told my dad, I'm going to have a computer someday, and he said it costs as much as a house. And I said, well, I'll live in an apartment. I was going to have a computer even if it cost me a house. I got a phone call from a friend. Well, there's a group getting together and they're interested in things like terminals. I had just designed a video terminal that worked with my home color TV. And so I could type in and talk to a thing called the ARPANET. The ARPANET was started by the military and hooked a whole bunch of campuses across the United States together, so I could actually play chess on a computer at MIT and bounce over to a computer at Stanford and see some files, and over to Berkeley, to other parts of the world, long before the internet. I had to have that, so I built my own terminal. And when Alan Baum said there's a computer club starting for people who have terminals and things, I thought I'll be able to show off my great little low-chip design. I went to the club, so excited about it, and found out these people were all talking about microprocessors. Had suddenly made it possible to have a computer at a low cost. It came out of a group of people that were kind of liberal thinking about computers for the people. The whole mentality of the Homebrew Computer Club was extremely open. Information should be published, handed out, because basically we were creating stuff that was going to move the world forward, and we should do our best to be good contributors to society in that way. And that's really where that word hacker originated.
For a long time, technology, computer technology, digital technology was the realm of the hacker alone. People who were really into it, that was theirs. Big business laughed at it. IBM said there'll never be a market for more than 20 computers in the world. There's no market for that. So personal computing was really created by hackers for hackers, and that's what, we played with this stuff. Then business, industry, government started to say, oh, wait a minute. Oh, there's some money to be made here, and they started to take it over. First by commercializing the internet.
Over the last decade, commercialization of the internet has exploded into a multi-billion-dollar industry, prompting governments to argue that they must control the internet to ensure the economy's safety. An international organization named ICANN was thus created by the United States government in 1998. Based in Marina del Rey, California, ICANN controls the 13 computers which manage the domain names of the world. Whomever controls these 13 computers controls the World Wide Web. The rest of the world opposed this United States-dominated control of ICANN, and so it was agreed that the UN would create an international body in 2006 to run ICANN and ensure equal internet availability to all countries. When the time came to relinquish its power, however, the United States Department of Commerce instead declared that the United States would keep control of ICANN indefinitely. The United States has since made controversial use of this self-declared monopoly on the internet, such as taking over the country codes for Iraq and Kazakhstan without requiring consent from either country, and by asking popular search engines to hand over private user information